Hello, this is Edna Keep from Regina, Saskatchewan, and today I'm going to teach you about agreements for sale and how that can work when you're buying real estate. Stick around. For sale. Why an agreement for sale? Well, an agreement for sale is a way to buy property that has seller financing that takes care of non-assumable mortgages, because lots of times you can't assume a mortgage anymore without really qualifying. The title and the original mortgage remains in the seller's name. When you're closing on an agreement for sale deal, don't use the short, simple offer to purchase template that we use just in a regular offer. You want to make sure to include assignability, insurances, taxes, upkeep, repairs, items of default, remedy payouts, renewals, interest rates, and how they're calculated. Responsibility for keeping existing financing up to date, and what happens if it isn't, plus numerous other important details. So protecting the buyer, prepare an exit strategy by registering a caveat against the title at the land titles. We also do this in joint ventures when our name's not on the title. We set up a caveat so that they can't sell the property without your knowledge and without paying you out your interest first. So in this case, if you register at the land titles office, you claim an interest on the property as the buyer under the agreement of sale, and you match the agreement for sale to the seller's mortgage renewal date. That's really important because you don't want to get penalties for them, penalties for you. It really works out nice. Doesn't mean you have to buy it on that specific date, but that you could renew it, and then again renew it the same amount of time as the person you're buying it from does. So the agreement for sale contract, you can buy or sell a property by agreement for sale. You just title it that, agreement for sale. The buyer pays a certain amount of the purchase price by cash, and the balance is owed to the seller under financing structure known as unpaid seller's equity. Why is an agreement for sale attractive to the seller? Well, the seller's profit comes from charging a margin on the sales price and or the interest rate. For example, you have a purchase price of $350,000, the deposit's $20,000 or 5%, and by way of $330,000, it's dropped the unpaid seller's equity. No, let me rephrase that. Your purchase price is $350,000. After you're 5% down, your mortgage is $330,000. So your unpaid seller's equity is at 7% at that point. So the seller continues making mortgage payments at the current rate, which let's say is around 4%. Many people can't qualify for traditional mortgages, so it opens up the sale to a lot more people. The buyer's responsible for all normal ownership costs, property taxes, insurance, repairs, etc. It also eliminates the possibility of long vacancies as property becomes someone's long-term home. Examples are a seller has a negative equity, maybe bought at the height of a boom, prices have fallen, their high ratio mortgage now has principal larger than the fair market value. You can't sell without a realtor because the fees would take up $10,000 plus that they already don't have. And the seller has positive equity but doesn't need the money. Seller can save thousands on real estate commissions, pay out penalties, and earn a better return than at the bank, and if a fellow investor also may want to defer taxes that way. Be careful about payouts. If the buyer cashes out early, you may be left with a mortgage penalty. And the seller may want to put a penalty clause in the agreement for sale as well to cover this possibility. The seller could also put in a quitclaim in the agreement stating that if the buyer goes into default, there will be a claim against the seller. And why is an agreement for sale attractive to the investor buyer? Well, it allows the investor to have control of another property without qualifying for a mortgage and possibly at less than 20% down. It can be a win-win situation for both the buyer and the seller. Potential tax treatment, well, is your profit taxed as income or as a capital gain? Again, that's something to talk with your accountant on. A lot of it depends on what your intentions are. If it's intended as a long-term buy and hold that you're just going to rent and put over into a mortgage in your own name eventually, just make sure that your accountant is aware of that ahead of time. If you're doing it as a flip, well, then it's taxed as income that year. So thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions at all about how agreements for sale work, or if you need any help in determining if an agreement for sale would work for you, feel free to reach out to me at edna@multiplewaystowealth.com. And also come and check out my blog. Get an absolute free video sharing our #1 strategy on how we've got millions of dollars of real estate through joint ventures. You can save and make thousands of dollars by doing the right joint venture. And the short 16-minute audio is free. Just enter your name and email address and get that. And it's another very powerful way to put real estate in your portfolio. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.